Okay, I am live and just gonna take a moment here where we're not starting for another couple minutes. Because we're gonna figure out a couple technical things. Okay, just a little tech check right there. And folks should be coming in pretty soon because I think the page goes live in just 1 minute here. So just take our time, get settled in. All right, so I think I'm just gonna check the main page here. And I think we should be going. Great. All right, everyone. Hello. So I was just having a little bit of a technical, fun technical experience here. So can everyone, let's see, I'm just going to do a quick check in the chat here. I see there's some folks already here, which is so great. I'm so happy you're here. And let's see, I'm just going to make sure. Can everyone see me and hear me okay? You can use the chat in the page. I don't know, you might be seeing it over to the right or above. Jess says yes and yes. Okay, great, good. So a couple of things before we start. So I had, Marley, Brooke, yes, hi, everyone, welcome. Okay, so I had a little discovery here, right as I was about an hour ago, as I was getting ready for everything, that YouTube just did a little switcheroo, and you can no longer share your screen. So I had beautiful slides, which normally I don't actually use too many slides, but I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I made you slides full of embarrassing photos of me from back in the day, and I am not sharing them with you now. So one day I will share some embarrassing photos with you, but today is not the day. But I'm so happy that you all are here. But we're gonna just be here with each other, and that's Nick says, are you using Zoom to live stream? No, I'm not. It's actually a YouTube thing. They used to use Google Hangouts Live, and then last week they changed it to something else where you can't use it anymore. So what we're gonna do tonight is we're just gonna be together. We're gonna just be face, and I can't see your faces, but we're gonna chat a lot using using the little chat thing here over on the side, and you're gonna be able to ask me questions, and we're gonna get to know each other. So we're gonna be doing this a little bit like the old-fashioned way, even though I'm live streaming, just by being with each other, okay? So everyone, I want you to get settled in. I'm sure maybe you already are, but we're gonna spend some time together tonight. And I want, I'm really gonna work for us to hold the container of an hour. We might go a few minutes over potentially for Q&A at the end, but I'm really gonna hold that intention, okay? So just so you know where we're going. And before we start, a couple things. First, a tech check, because it's a thing. that I would love for you to turn off your phone, unless, of course, you are watching this on your phone. I'd love for you to close and minimize other tabs, like dings and whirs and buzzes and all this stuff, right? Even if you're just like, I can't turn my phone off and I'm not watching it, I just need to just turn it, not even on vibrate, just like put it aside, right? Because like you deserve your own time and attention. And I'm going to give you a moment to do that and get settled in, get your tea, get your water. I just burned a little of my special incense that I brought for you all. I've got a candle burning, right? I set the stage here. Okay. So before we, before we get into things, you know what? I'll just hold on 1 second. Give me a sec. Hi, I'm back. Just one more little non-tech check. So here's what I want. Here's the invitation that I'm making for you, besides closing down all the distractions here, is for us to spend the time together, right? To give each other all our attention, to let ourselves just sort of open up to the possibility of what's what's available. There might be some things that come up that you're like, I feel like well-worn path, things that you have gone over and over before in whatever kind of work or personal inquiry you've done, or there might be some new things that come up here. So before we jump in, and because I don't have any slides to show you now, because of how the world works, and we're just going to be with reality as it is, we're going to do just a little quick meditation. Okay? And this is just a very simple way, and you can use this, any way that you want, any time of day or night to help you center. Now, I do a lot of grounding work, and we're not necessarily going to do a whole big long grounding. If you know me, you know that I love some energetic grounding, but instead we're going to call our energy back to ourselves, right? So go ahead and close your eyes. And you can put your feet flat on the floor. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Again, nice and slow and deep in through your nose and out through your nose. Imagine that you are a magnet, and that all the little scattered bits of yourself, scattered from the day, from all the email communication, all the social media, all the multitasking, all the different ways in which you have just put your energy out into the world, or where it has been pulled from you. I want you to imagine those like little iron filings, and take a few deep, nice, slow breaths in and out through your nose. And I want you to just call those little iron filings back. Use your magnetism. Call them back to you. Almost like you have a bunch of kites out on long strings, and you're reeling them all back in simultaneously. Call all these bits back to you. Good. And on the next exhale, let's just drop and extend our energy down into the earth. All the way down. Stretch it down, extending from you all the way down to the core of the planet, the molten iron crystal center of Mother Earth. And just wrap your energy, that cord, around the center of the earth 3 times and pull snugly. Good. Good. So you can just gently open your eyes again and, just a little twinkle in the fingers, a little twinkle in the toes here. Good. How's that feel for folks? Good. Okay. So now that we are here together, I'm just curious, a couple things just to get us like using the chat a little bit here and just getting to know each other. Have you ever wanted to make a big, courageous leap in your life? And maybe there were some feelings of like doubt, guilt, or shame that came up, right? Sometimes when we make these big courageous leaps, we can have, there's a lot of emotions that come up. And I'm just curious, like, have you ever wanted to make a big courageous leap just with, well, a big leap with courage, with confidence, with clarity? Maybe have you had that experience? Just a couple like yeses, or like, yeah, I did this, I moved cities, or anything like that. I just want to sort of know like where you're at, or like, maybe if you're, or if you have a big shift that you're calling in right now, like that you want a big shift in your life, right? I mean, here we are. We're talking tonight about how to get the F out of your own way, right? That's our topic for tonight. I am your guide. I'm a transformational coach. I'm in Hawaii right now, normally in Joshua Tree. It doesn't matter. We can do this work from anywhere, but we're going to take a journey of transformation tonight together. So, a big shift that you're calling in. I'd love to hear anyone here. Yes, I have a big opportunity coming up in a month. Want to rise to the occasion. Yes, 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 for sure. Switching up jobs, going back to school, needing to love myself. That's a good one. Absolutely. Quitting my full-time job right now from Carly. Alex, left a bad relationship, scary. Just got a new job, scary, but good too. Yes, right? Like fear, can't like scary in those leaps. Like fear, I don't actually believe in fearlessness. I mean, I can be argued with, not right now, but but I don't actually believe in fearlessness. I actually believe that like we can have fear and still move forward. It's just a matter of like, are you letting fear drive your car, or are you like putting it in your pocket or in your, or in your bag, and just like knowing that it's there and still moving forward. Travel, nursing, switching career direction. Yes, needing to love myself. Fear witness. Yes, Jess, I have not heard that. I love this fear witness. I love that. Feeling some leaps in my business and path coming, maybe geographical too. Beautiful, beautiful, y'all. So we've got, all of us are here for a reason, right? And is there anything that feels like it's holding you back, right? So you've got the big change calling. Is there anything that you feel like is holding you back from making that big leap? Some folks, we were just talking a little bit about fear, anything, a little bit about loving ourselves. Student loan debts, financial concerns. I want to call in a relationship, want to grow in my work career. Not sure, time pressure, perfectionism. Oh, we're going to talk. Oh, look, people, we're full of the things that are holding us back. Vulnerable to put myself out there. Some folks saying like, ooh, what is holding me back? Oh, debts. Okay. Old patterns, limiting beliefs. Surprised they're still here. Very subtle, Alina. Yes. I mean, they're subtle, girl, because you've been working on them. Perfectionism for sure. Took a big leap, changed jobs. It's been okay, but feeling like the change agent for even bigger change. I'm afraid to rock the boat. Ooh, I love this one. Afraid to rock the boat. Perfectionism, fear of failure, imposter syndrome, clarity of vision. A lot of perfectionists here. Okay, y'all are in the right place, right? I mean, we all want to be able to trust ourselves without sort of the second guessing, right? Or like, or without the sort of debilitating fear. I already told you my theory on fearlessness, and Jess offered up fear witness, which I like a lot. And sometimes we'll just try pushing forward, right? And so we're like pushing forward, and And sometimes we realize that like that doesn't really work, that it's not just a matter of like pushing forward, but that's what our culture really teaches us, right? Just sort of like head down, like bull our way through it. And, that's really like, I want to posit, I want to like open up the space for a different way, for a way that actually is more aligned with the truth of who you really are versus who you've been taught to be, right? All of us get tons and tons of programming. If you watched any of my lives, you heard me talk lots about like the programming and the patriarchal culture of like the fractured masculine and the moving too fast and just like all of the symptoms that arise. We've seen some really, really horrific events unfold in this country and of course around the world this week. And I don't think, I believe everything's connected, right? So if we want to, we don't necessarily have to heal the world by becoming Mother Teresa. I believe that like when we work on healing ourselves, we heal the earth, right? And so that's part of what we're going to do here together tonight. A lot of times we wish that we could just be on the other side of what the change is, or I get a lot of people telling me like, I just want to know what to do. And we just want to sort of get to the other side already and like be there. And, I just invite you to try on tonight that like the journey is it. The journey is the way that you travel, it determines the destination, right? So sometimes we think like, oh, well, I just gotta like crunch, or like, like push myself aside and deprioritize myself and just work really hard and be really efficient. And then I'll get to the thing that I want to create and then it'll be great. And I want, another thing I'm opening up for you all tonight is that, it's really, that's not really how it works, right? Like that's part of our pathological programming of like everything sort of a problem to be solved. It keeps us really small and narrow, and it keeps us away from the big vision and keeps us out of being in the big vision. And so that really like, we're going to do some big reframes tonight. And then we're also going to like use some really specific tools to help us like just see how we've been programmed, how those programs have been affecting us and maybe keeping us from making the big leaps, right? And sometimes, I would say this is also a product of our culture. We get so focused on what's happening, like on the thing that we want to change, or the like the new job or the new relationship or the new city, right? Those are all popular ones. And that instead of our relationship to those things, right? Because wherever you go, there you are. So wherever you land or whatever new relationship, job, or city you land in, you're still going to be you, right? And you're going to still have your programming. How many people here have like actually made a shift in their lives and thought that was going to be the answer and then found themselves like sort of back in the same old pattern again? Oh, I see some beautiful comments here coming through about exhaustion and burnout, knowing you need to slow down, but wanting to move forward, being hard on myself. Carla, I'm the only one who holds me back. Yeah, holding myself to impossible standards. Yes. Yeah, beautiful. So we know that like, even just looking here, and maybe maybe you already know you weren't alone. Maybe you already knew like, oh, other people go through this too, but here we are potentially all like a group of strangers. I mean, I know some of you and I know some of you follow me. And so like, you might like know me and maybe I don't know you. And I know that there are friends here. I know I've got clients, I've got students, I've got friends of friends, beloveds, sisters, hairdressers of friends and clients and students, like we've got a whole beautiful community, even if it's just a little makeshift one tonight. And you're not alone in any of this. So here's what we're going to learn today. And I wish I could show you my slides. They're so pretty, you guys. I was about to be like, here, I'm not going to do that either. So, but I hope that you have a journal and pen here. That's definitely necessary. So if you need to take a moment here and get your notes out, that's perfect. But first, what we're going to do here is mindset. Basically, how the hell you got here to this very moment, how it all works. I'm going to break it down. And this mindset work is work that I did in my late 20s, right around my Saturn return. If any of y'all are astro nerds or astro curious and you know what I'm talking about. And I learned it from my beautiful teachers, Rod Goddess and J. Love Calderon, and they learned it from Bill Straub and David Gershon, who are also my teachers. And I have lots of teachers, but those are some of my like key, wonderful personal teachers who have been just the most amazing guides for me in this mindset work that changed my whole life. So I'm going to teach you like how it works. And then two, I'm going to walk you through a process on how to shift it. How to shift your mindset, right? Like none of you is set in stone, no matter how many times you've gone around on the same pattern and the same wheel over and over. You are ever evolving. And so we're going to leverage that ever evolvingness of you. And I'm going to teach you some new frameworks and some tools to really prepare you for what you most want. And like, not just the external stuff, right? Like I was saying, remember, not just like, oh, I want the new job. I want the new relationship. I want the new city or whatever it is, fill in the blank. But to really like, we're going to understand a little more deeply your relationship to those aspects, your relationship to change, perhaps, right? That might come up for you. Your relationship to work, right? Like your relationship to relationships. Like, I know it's a little meta, but we're gonna touch in on some of this tonight. I'm also going to I'm going to talk about how to make it last, right? So there's change and then there's long haul change. There's sustainable change. And so everything that I teach tonight is to really support that sustainable change, though you'll likely feel like an immediate energetic shift, right? So energy can shift immediately, right? And likely you'll experience some of that tonight and you'll be like, oh, whoa, okay, right? But the mind and the body, right? Mental body, physical body, like they're the ones that have been trained to like go back into the old groove. So I'm going to teach you how to make it last, and I'm going to share with you a couple opportunities on how to do it, and how to really like support yourself in this work, right? Like not just in finding the new job, but who do you want to become when you find that new job, right? Who do you want to become when you find that new city or that new relationship or that new relationship with yourself, right? So at the end, we'll do some Q&A, which is going to be really rich. There might be things that you don't feel like you can articulate and someone articulates for you, or someone asks a question and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even like think of that. So I want you to stick around for this. Okay. So just really quick, a little bit, this was in my slideshow where I was going to share some embarrassing photos of myself. I mean, I sort of love them because they're me. Actually, I don't get embarrassed. You can try this out. I just decided a few years ago I wasn't going to get embarrassed anymore. And then I haven't really been embarrassed since. I can talk more about that later. You can, if you have a question about that, you can save it for the Q&A. Sorry, I got to reconnect here. Okay, good. Sorry, the chat function went out on my end here. And if anyone has any tech problems, you can go ahead and just like sort of pop it in the chat and I'll do my best to get at it, though I'm not looking at the chat the entire time. I'm sort of going back and forth from my notes to the chat there, just so you know. So I was, as I was saying, like I learned mindset in my late 20s. I was really burnt out as a political activist. Those of you who know me have heard my stories before, but stories are a powerful way that we connect with each other. And so we're all here tonight just sharing little bits of our stories and sort of weaving ourselves together, which is, side note, or maybe the note, what we must do, right? It's like what the world needs of us. It needs us to see how we belong to each other and how we're connected. So I was burnt out, political activist. Oh my God, I'm looking at this photo of myself. I'm just too ridiculous. And I was doing work that I really believed in, but I also didn't know how to listen to my body anymore. My adrenals were zapped. I was starting to have a lot of physical issues that were like manifesting in like food allergies, though I didn't really know what that was at the time. And I was exhausted. I was a total people pleaser, yes person. I didn't know how to say yes to myself. I would just constantly sort of say no to myself by saying yes to everyone else and whatever they wanted. And I prided myself on being like a problem solver, fixer, doer, extraordinaire. And so because I was so good at fixing and doing, that's all I did was fix and do. And I didn't know how to relate to myself. And my relationships were like, they weren't that great, honestly. And I was getting like feedback from my friends. I always thought I was such a good friend, such a good daughter. And people were feeling like I wasn't really responding. I wasn't really showing up. People are always telling me how tired I looked. I was like, geez, all right. And so, maybe you can relate. So I really struggled with the feeling that, like of being terrified that if I took away my work or I took away my partner, that I wouldn't really know me anymore. So I, said a little prayer and did some, I said a big prayer and found some amazing humans to do some work with. And that's where I was introduced to the mindset work, right? I finally began to figure things out. I finally learned how to work with my own mind to make it an ally as opposed to something I was battling with all the time. I started knowing myself, which I realized up to that point I hadn't really done much of before in my life. I always thought that I had, and that I was like a really like in tune person, but but I had a lot of programming and a lot of stories running, and I was doing a lot of things for other people and not really myself. And I didn't really know what I wanted. Right. So there's been a lot of, intangible, tangible, and intangible benefits from all of that time. I ended up leaving my work as an activist, and doing my own inner journey, and then eventually feeling really called to do this work with other people. But it was, it was like many years of a journey, and I had to do my own work first. So I'm here and honored to help you today to like be a support for you in doing your own work first, so that you can, so you can refill your cup, because whatever's in your cup is for you. I think it's Ayanna Van Zant who said something like this. She's wonderful, a wonderful coach and healer out in the world. But she said, whatever is in my cup is for me. Whatever floweth over is for you, right? So I'm here as like a stand for you to fill your cup. So where do we start? So a couple of things maybe you saw on the website when you registered, the 3 principles of manifestation. I'm not going to go too deep into them here, but just a touch. The 3 principles of manifestation are creative thought, mental clearing, and vision. And, creative thought, this isn't about like, oh, my thoughts create my reality. Like the random thought I have about like, oh, I'm so mad at that person over there. I wish they'd get like, hit by a bus. I don't know if you have that thought, but whatever. And those are not the thoughts we're talking about. We're talking about the ones that have been coming up already in our time together tonight, like of not loving yourself or not trusting yourself or being, too afraid to make a change, or, like these thought patterns that have been, those are the ones that we're going to pay attention to. Those patterns are the ones that create your reality. I'm going to tell you in a sec how those patterns come to be. Mental clearing is the idea that we need to release. We need to, not just release the pattern, because I don't actually believe that the pattern ever goes away completely. I believe that like as we do the work, I think it was Alina who tuned in a little earlier and said like, ooh, I'm still doing the work and the things keep showing up, but they're more subtle. So like I believe that we learn in a spiral. Right? You can write this down if it's helpful. So when we're doing the work, like, yeah, we'll keep our core painful patterns of our lives are going to always be there. But we're going to like learn in a spiral. And when we come back around on them, we're coming from a different perspective, versus if we're not doing any work, we generally will just sort of like, merry-go-round and just sort of like get slapped, each time we come back around a little harder, and we'll be a little bit more tender each time. Right. So I don't believe when I say mental clearing, I don't mean that like, oh, like cancel culture, just like, forget it. We can just break the pattern. It's gone forever. No, but you're going to learn how to work with it. And you're going to learn how to like be more trusting and loving of yourself in your patterns, so that you can move forward and not just get sucked down into them. So mental clearing is like where we let go of the things that no no longer serve, and you learn how to release. But there's also an amount of acceptance in there as well, and love and compassion that can come up. And then that makes room for vision, right? So you can't have vision without all of that mental clearing and without understanding your patterns. All right. How y'all doing here so far? We're about to touch in on mindset, how it works, and then walk through a process. Ooh, what are the three again? Okay, so the three principles of manifestation, thanks for asking, are creative thought, mental clearing, and vision. Creative thought, mental clearing, and vision. And they all have to work together. You can't just have vision without them, at least in this framework. Asking you all to try this on. You can't have vision and just be like, oh, I have a beautiful vision, without understanding the way that you've been creating your reality with your thought patterns, aka your beliefs. Right? We're going to go into that in a second on how a thought becomes a belief. And you can't do it without clearing. Imagine if you had like a closet, right? And it was just like you open the closet and it was like all the clothes you'd like ever had in your lifetime, right? And just like all of them right there packed into this closet. And you were like, you know what? These don't reflect who I am anymore. I'm going to just get some really beautiful new clothes and that reflect me. And then you buy them and you're like, well, I got to hang them in the closet, and there's no way. And you just got to like shove them in between all the stuff. And then you go to take it out to wear it, this beautiful thing that's the vision that reflects you. And it's all wrinkled and it's got like sequins from that thing you wore like in the 90s or whatever. I don't know, some of y'all maybe had just been babies in the 90s, but maybe you wear sequins. It's fine. So you know what I'm saying? Like there's not room for it. So we got to make room for all of it. And I think a lot of us get programming around just like doing the big vision, or we confuse ambition with vision. It's another story for another time. Okay, y'all. Tiffany, hi, honey. Says, this work has given me so much clarity, but couldn't have the clarity unless I got grounded. Totally. Jennifer says, acceptance is hard for me. Yes. Good, y'all. So now you're going to want to write this down. It's like imagine it like a clock, okay? This is how your mindset, your patterns, your habits, how they become. So the first thing is that you have an experience, right? So something happens. It could be an event or an occurrence. And we're going to do two things at once here. So we're going to go through, I'm going to give you an explanation of how mindset works and sort of the clock that happens, that is our mindset, right? Like this pattern, this cycle. And then I'm going to ask you to also, just keep track of the thoughts that are coming up for you, right? I might ask some prompting questions, and I want you to just like keep note of those, because we're going to work with them. Okay. You'll get you'll get with it. So when I say something happens, an experience, an event, an occurrence, likely this is something that made you feel destabilized at a young age. And at the young age, around age 7 is usually when our mindset gets set. And so can you hold on 1 second, y'all? Sorry, 1 second. Hi, sorry about that. So your mindset gets set around the age of 7, right? That's even when like your mental body, usually right after age 7 is when it gets complete. It's, in psychological studies, they say your mindset gets set around this age. We can get all geeky and some astrology stuff about it too, but we're gonna just roll with this idea that like it's around 6, 7, 8, sometimes a little earlier, right? But that's just a ballpark of when our world is expanding, when we're processing more complex emotions. We're starting to internalize emotions, right? So we're actually, instead of just like something going wrong and being like, oh, that's a problem, or there was something wrong with that, Instead, we start to be like, ooh, why did that happen? Like, and that's the next part of our little clock here, right? So we're still up here at 12 o'clock, experience, destabilizing, but we start to like feel bad about it, right? And when I say destabilizing experience, it could be something you understand as a grown-up that was traumatic, whatever that means to you, right? Sometimes we play trauma Olympics and we're like, well, these other people over there have it really bad. And like, so the things that happened to me as a kid, like maybe we just moved around a lot, or like maybe my, dad drank too much and was, yelled at me and it wasn't as bad as that thing over there. We don't need to play that here. Okay. That's just comparison. And there's no room for that. There's no need for it. Okay. And so it may be something you recognize as trauma. It may be something that your child mind really like, in your inner child, but your child mind felt destabilizing. Okay. So we tried, does that make sense for you all? So we try to make sense of why something has happened, and we develop perceptions or judgments. So we have a thought, right? 90% of our thoughts are repeats from the day before, right? So at 3 o'clock, if 12 o'clock is experience, right? A destabilizing experience, something happens in your past. 3 o'clock is going to be perception, right? And so it's a thought, and you start to think it, and you're like, oh yeah, gosh, that was a problem. Like mom was mad. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Or whatever the thing is that happened, right? Like maybe that was my fault, right? We're just trying to children, we don't have a lot of wisdom and experience. We just have a lot of, resilience. And so we're just trying to make do. We're trying to figure out the world. We're trying to survive. Okay, so these perceptions then become practiced vibrations. So go down on our clock to 6 o'clock, right? They become beliefs. We internalize, right? They become convictions, assumptions, your beliefs about yourself. So, energy follows thought. So if you think of a thought as like a wavelength, and then you think the thought over and over and over again, right? You get like, it's like you get one wave that turns into a long length, almost like a record groove, right? And you just start to like, this is how we start going around. So the beliefs then they govern and guide our thoughts, emotions, and actions, right? We can call them the T, thoughts, emotions, actions, up at like 9 o'clock, right? And so those thoughts, emotions, and actions are going to reinforce and reproduce, because they're tied to this belief, which was tied to this perception, which was tied to this original experience. Can you see where we're going here? They reinforce and reproduce the same experience over again. How y'all doing with this? How's this feeling for you? Are you rolling with me here? Let's see. So early in life to have a set mindset. I'm a teacher and this never came up. We'll definitely be sharing with colleagues. Oh, great. Yes. So funny. I was just thinking about this today, an event that happened around that age. Yeah, totally. Oh yeah. And if you might get logged out of the chat. I'm not really sure how that works. So, if you had your name put in, then it might not you might get logged out and it'll say anon, whatever. So don't worry about it. Yeah. So Yep says, wait, experience, perception, belief. So experience up at 12 o'clock, perception at 3 o'clock, beliefs down at 6 o'clock, the T, thoughts, emotions, actions, right? Nice little, I don't have a teacup here. At 9 o'clock, which then reproduce the same experience over again. Right? Yes, we hit repeat. So the idea is like, I use this example when I give this because it was just one of the first times I really saw it so clearly. And I've never, I work with mindset every single day with myself and with my students. But I had a friend who had an experience where her cousins moved into her house when she was really young, and 2 boy cousins, and their parents were, there's stuff going on with their parents. And so they basically got dropped off to live with them for a while. And so her dad, feeling bad for them, gave them my friend's room. So the 2 boys were in the room and she was out in the living room on the couch. Now, months and months went by and she really wanted her room back, and she would ask for it and he would say no. And of course, as a parent, and a grown up, he was like, no, these kids have it really hard off. You're going to be fine. Like they need a room. Right. And but in her, right, like she was trying to figure out why she couldn't have her room. And so she started thinking about it, right? Perception. So she had the experience destabilizing a small child getting kicked out of her room, right? And sort of the family unit being like a little upheaval. And then 3 o'clock, she started to think about it, like, what's the problem? Why? Maybe my dad thinks that my cousins are more important than me. Right? That's why he's doing it. Perception. Started to think it over and over and over again. The belief was that like my cousins are more important than me. Boys, over time, it evolved into boys are more important to me, right? So then she started moving through her life, and then she found herself having her own company, her company, and thoughts, emotions, actions. She'd have like little round tables in the mornings where the whole team would come together. And she found herself sort of like feeling like she needed to step back when men were talking, because she felt like men were like, when they had something to say, it was really important. And it was actually a problem in her business and in her life, right? It was showing up in a lot of different ways, but then she was experiencing the same thing over again. Does that make sense? Right? So she was re-experiencing that same pattern over again, right? Because of her belief. I hope that laid it out for everyone. Good. So let's get into how to work it, okay? So our first step here is going to be awareness. And and this is how we transform our mindset. So the first part of awareness, I'm going to walk you through it and then give little descriptions along the way. Good. So I want you to think of a pattern. Right? We've been talking a lot about them, and I've been seeing y'all put them in the chats, right? So a pattern in your life that is not working, right? And maybe because this is called like, our time together tonight is like how to get the F out of your own way. That, if there's a pattern that like you keep hitting as you try to make a big shift in your life, right? And you just keep hitting this wall over and over, that might be one to look at. There might be something else that feels really like up for you in terms of, some pattern that isn't working for you, right? Where you keep circling back around on it, right? A few people actually were talking about how they feel like they don't love themselves. But we look at a pattern, right? Because our patterns of our lives, whatever's new is old, okay? So whatever's happening now in your life has been happening for a long time. It's not new. Even though you think it's new, it's not. And I'm going to show you why. Well, I just showed you how mindset works, so you can understand how it's not new. It's been happening for a long time. So does everyone have like a pattern they want to work with here? And you can feel free to share it in the chat here. Oh, there's a couple of good ones. I feel like I always quit. People pleasing, quit before I get really good at something without becoming a master. Is that a pattern? That can absolutely be a pattern. Yeah, quitting, totally. I get jealous with my partner, get scared of abandonment. He'll leave me for someone better. Can you explain the pattern one more time? Yes. Colleen says not really good enough. So a pattern, anything in your life right now, a pattern that you're experiencing that isn't working for you. That we're in relationships, maybe in your work, maybe in, we were talking earlier about like, wanting to make big shifts in your life, but feeling like you're maybe holding yourself back. The things that are getting in your way, the things that are not, like you keep trying to like break a pattern. You keep trying to like move through and do things differently, but you find yourself in the same old cycle. Okay. Yeah, everyone's popping in some good ones. Procrastination, self-shaming, letting myself off the hook. Yes, right? So pick one. and you're going to be able to go back and use this in a lot of different ways. So now I want you to get at what's the story you're telling yourself about yourself, right? So when we're in this phase of awareness, right, we're looking at the pattern first, and then I want you to look at what's the belief at the root of this pattern, right? What's the story you're telling yourself about yourself? And this is you might see it as, oh, I think this is the story someone else is telling about me, but you know what? You're probably projecting. Let's just try this on for now. So what's the belief that you have about yourself that's at the center of this pattern, right? What's the story you're telling yourself about yourself? It's probably not going to be too kind, okay? So just, holding space for you to be tender with yourself here, to also let's just create. I want everyone to take a breath. We're going to create a little bit of space. So we're going to make observational space here, right? So the point is to be able to look and understand yourself without getting sucked back into it right now, right? So observational space, just set the intention, maybe with a nice breath here, that you're going to take this observational space. Good. And now write down the belief that you have about yourself that is at the center of this pattern, the story you're telling yourself about yourself. Yeah, I see some good ones coming in here. I don't deserve the good relationship, the goodness. I'm not good enough. I'll fail. I'll make the wrong choice. We'll regret it. No one likes me. Oh, Scarley Johnson. I feel you. I got that one too. Nothing I do is ever enough. Success is for other people. Average is for me. Yeah. Oh, and Anand 2757 says, whoa, we all have very similar beliefs at the center. We do. So this is the thing, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it at the end here, but my teachers, David and Gail, they sort of break down this work into core limiting beliefs, and there's 5 areas: self-responsibility, self-esteem, trusting the universe, positive attitude, and flowing with change, right? So self-responsibility, self-esteem, flowing with trusting the universe, positive attitude, and flowing with change. And that, like all of our limiting beliefs sort of in humanity, like they all fall in these 5 categories, right? So it's sort of our like common, great human common denominator, though it's quite like heart achingly beautiful, I think. And we are connected. So I want you to go back now. Take a nice deep breath, everyone. Maybe close your eyes for a moment, hand on the heart. We're going to go to the root here. So I want you to go back, and you can put a little white light or a lot of white light around you, just sort of like an egg of white light around your body. Just envision it. Do a little energy work here. Good. And so I want you to go back the first time you remember feeling that feeling of not being good enough, not being deserving of love. No one will like you. I'm going to fail. I'm not going to do it right. I'm all alone, whatever it is that's come up for you. I want you to think about the root. So remember from our mindset wheel, little clock there, that as far back as you can, right? Childhood, if possible. And again, it could be something that felt like a big experience. It could be over a span of time. It could have been something that you have brushed off as being like, oh, that's not a big deal. But just let whatever memory rises to the top. Just let that one rise to the top. Let's not judge it or edit it, right? And write it down, right? This is your root. This is where that initial destabilizing experience likely happened. There might be other things that contributed, but that started this mindset cycle. Right? So y'all just take a moment, go to the root. Okay? And just a lot of like loving gentleness, compassion here for yourself. Thank you. Yeah. Good. And if you can't remember anything specific, that's okay. You can set the intention for something to rise to the surface, and you can also just like energetically connect with it, right? So you might be like, oh yeah, I sort of know it was like around this time. That's okay too. So I want you to do a quick cost-benefit analysis here. So the benefit is any of the ways that you made it work for you, right? So coping mechanisms, right? Any way that you made it work for you over time. So, if perhaps you felt like, ooh, I wasn't really like, like I wasn't really like, no one got me, no one understood me as a kid, or I just felt like my parents were like, they didn't get me, or there were things that I needed and I didn't get them, right? And it would be impossible for a parent to give a child all the things they need, because the child doesn't always know what they need, right? Like, so sometimes when we feel like we're unmet in some sort of way, we can become self-sufficient, right? Like, okay, well, I don't need that. I don't need anyone. I can just do it all myself. I bet I have a few self-sufficients here. Do I? So that's a benefit in a way. It's like you became a super doer, an overachiever. I don't need anyone, right? So it's a way that you made it work for you. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, self-sufficient was my jam. LOL, overcompensating. That's me. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us were taught this, right? To be superhuman. I know a lot of us have this one. Someone asked, what if you have two selfish parents? Yeah, I mean, probably you had a lot of unmet needs, I'm going to guess. Yeah, earning love through achievement, people pleasing, super friendly, all of it, right? Okay, these are your benefits. I'm going to give you a little homework already to go back and do a little more reflection on that, right? On some other ways that you made it work. And then I want you to get that, like, this isn't a judgment of the benefit. A coping mechanism, it means it comes from a wound. So my guess is that some of you who are like overachievers, that didn't want to come out, or people pleasers, or so friendly, or like way trusting, or who knows what has shown up for you. That when it's a coping mechanism, when it's come from a wound, it's not going to serve you, and you've probably already witnessed the breakdown of it, right? And you keep trying to be that thing, but it's not really working for you. Am I right? Does that make sense for some folks here? So, and you might be like, well, that's who I am. I am that person, right? I am that, I am that strong person. I am super independent, and that's okay. You can still be those things. We don't need to throw baby out with bathwater here. But I want you to get, like understand, perhaps take a look at it maybe a little deeper later or right now, how like that's actually that coping mechanism, that benefit came from a wound. Right. And so it's going to have an expiration date. All coping mechanisms do. And if you want to get to the next level of your life, you have to come up with another mechanism, not another coping mechanism, but another way to move forward, which is actually what we're doing here tonight. So that's great news for all of us. All right, now I want you to take a note here about the cost. What is it costing you to hold on to this belief? All these like very tender limiting beliefs that we shared here tonight. What's the cost? What's the cost? What is it costing you? Is it costing you joy? Is it costing you like real relationships? Is it costing you your creativity? Is it costing you moving life? Is it costing you self-love? Is it costing you your expression, your engagement with the world? Is it costing you, the list goes on and on. Get real with the cost, because what we've been doing already is serving our first principle of manifestation, of creative thought, understanding how you're creating your reality. This part right here, the cost, is serving principle 2, the principle of mental clearing. Because when you understand the cost truly, and you write it down, and you look and you say like, this belief is costing me my joy. This belief that I'm not enough is costing me any authentic relationships in my life. This is costing me my life force. That's a really big cost. And as you do it, I can feel you all. Gosh. You release the grip ever so slowly, ever so gently. Okay? Good. Calm, alienation, self-esteem, health, dignity, can't be myself and be loved, mental health, self-esteem, happiness. Yes, living in the world. So much here, y'all. So you can take this part for homework, the cost benefit analysis, right? Get a little, you can get a little more clear on that for homework and just dive a little deeper into it. You deserve it. And I want you all to take a moment here and hand over heart, close your eyes. And I want you to pull up the image where you just went to the root. I want you to pull up the image of yourself at that time. The one who decided that they weren't good enough or lovable or okay, or doing things right, or any, whatever that limiting belief is that you have, that you are looking at square in the face right now, and you are courageous for doing this vulnerable work. And I want you to just tune in to that young one, see their beautiful, sweet face in your mind's eye, and just shine some love and light and forgiveness on them, because they came up with this thought and this belief not out of malice and not out of wrongness, but just out of survival, just out of trying to make sense of the world. So just love up on yourself. Be the one you needed when you were younger. Take a few moments here. You're going to get to go back to this part later. Good. And just any last words you want to say to that young, sweet one, right? And then shine a little forgiveness on yourself for holding on to this belief for so long, even though it's cost you so much. It's okay. Forgiveness. And if you're like, well, I don't know how to forgive myself yet, it's okay. Just try a little teeny granule of it, right? See if you can just a little bit of tender love and compassion. And if not, it's on your homework list. And just let this little one know that you'll be back soon to connect with them. And go ahead and see a door closing in your mind. Good. So I hope, everyone's can feel the sort of energetic shift moving here, right? We're still going to ground this and make this sustainable, but we're stirring the pot a little bit here, right? We're peeling the layers back so that you can see what's really here, so that you can really know you, and to make room for you to trust you, right? For you to love you. Like, those things are not possible when we're not willing to look at our sort of most gruesome, sad parts and to really look at them, and then start to see them for the beautiful aspects of us that they are. Okay. So the next part here is vision. You all are doing so good. So the next part here is vision. Now, vision is not just what you want to do or have. That's nice. Right? Doing and having things are nice, but vision is, I want you to focus here on how do you want to feel? Knowing where you've come from, knowing the path that you've walked, knowing everything that we've even just been tuning into tonight, how do you want to feel? What's the experience you want to have on the planet right now with your one precious life? How do you want to feel? Right? Is it free? Is it is it loved? Is it loving? Is it peaceful? Is it, want to feel like you can trust yourself, or you want to feel like you can, move forward in your life without guilt and shame, or, but with embracing joy? What is it? How do you want to feel? Write it down. How do you want to feel? Seeing that I am enough, alive, and in the moment. You are so loved, self-empowered. You're a star. Yeah, powerful, and I'm everything, authentic. Yeah. Beautiful. Good. And you can, for homework, you can work on that a little bit more, right? The vision, and just sort of tease that out. But I think a lot of you, it sounds like, have a good sense of it, right? How you want to feel. Because doing and having is what our programming tells us we need to focus on. Feeling is you want to do and have things because you want to feel something. Right? So if you don't know how you want to feel and you're hoping that by doing and having a new city with a new house or a new job or a new partner or whatever the thing is, or the right body or the right thing, whatever you told yourself, is the thing to do or have, it's very likely that without understanding what you truly want to feel, and because you've done this this introspection, this inquiry of like the road that you've traveled and the programming that you've been running for so long, if you're just trying to rely on what you do and have, an external situation to make you feel something internally, and you don't even know what it is you want to feel, chances are you're not going to feel it. And that's how we stay in the same pattern over and over again. But when you know how you want to feel, right, that's where vision is born from. Vision is born from a feeling, my friends, okay? So the next step here, and I know we're coming up on our time, but we're almost at the end, is transformation. So this is the growing edge. And, the growing edge is, without going too deep into it, is the idea of like, little bud pushing up out of the ground. It's where all the energy of the plant is going. It's the catalyst for change, right? It's like all that life is going into that bud and it's pushing up through the dirt. That plant has never been in that exact formation, in that exact way before. And you have an infinite number of growing edges inside of you, like a banyan tree, right? Just like, just infinite number of growing edges. And this is your inner catalyst for change. It's a change for you and no one else. It's a change in your perception, right? So remember our mindset clock. So basically what we're doing here is that we can't change up at 12 o'clock is that initial experience. We can't change the experience. And remember, perception's over here. At 3 o'clock, this is my fancy slide, hand puppet slideshow. But what we can do is we can flip it, right? We can create a new trajectory for you. So we can't change the experience, but we can change your perception of it. So the growing edge, we know that your perception was a thought that led to a belief. The growing edge is going to be a bold move in how you relate to yourself, a leap of faith. It might feel like that. Again, a change for you and no one else. So, so I've been seeing it a little bit already in some of the things maybe that were coming up in the chat. The idea of like, if you want to be loved, right? Like, what if like trying on the idea, and most growing edges are going to make you like, there's going to be some electrical, like some engagement with life. You might feel like, wee, you might feel like I'm going to throw up. I often feel like I'm going to puke when I touch a growing edge personally. So that's how I know that I'm there, is that I'm sort of on the edge. I'm not overboard. I'm not like, oh my God, forget it. I'm like right on this edge, right? Of like my own existence, right? Engaged with life. Holy shit, right? But say the idea is that you want to be loved. You want to call in loving relationships. Well, do you love yourself? Right? And I'm not telling you that you have to like change your mind right now and be like, I love myself, but I want you to try on the idea that a growing edge for you, something that's going to let you get to that vision, is a shift in how you see yourself, right? In how you love yourself. Does that make sense? Are people feeling me? Beautiful. And anyone who has, who's leaving because we're at the hour mark, please, the replay, you'll have access to it. So you'll know about an hour in, you can tune back in and do the rest. And I highly recommend it, right? Because we're going to finish up here, finish strong. Good. Okay. So try on the feeling. Okay. Someone says not quite understanding. Yeah. So the idea here is that, a growing edge is probably not a thought you've really had too many times. It's a thought about yourself, right? It's remember, a perception in our mindset clock there. We have an experience and we have a perception, which is really just a thought. So we can't change your initial experience, but we can change the thought. So what I mean by growing edge is that it's a thought catalyst. It's a seed thought, right? We're planting a new idea of how you relate to yourself, right? So if you've been telling yourself, look at whatever your limiting belief is, right? Like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or, everything I do is wrong, or I'm all alone, or no one likes me. And you can see the cost, you've seen the coping mechanisms, and then you started touching in on the vision. Carla says, I want to feel safe. Yes, that is beautiful. Thanks, Tiffany. Yeah, great growing edge idea. Safety is a really good one. And so the idea is that the growing edge is a way for you. Sorry, I have to stop looking at the comments for a second. So it's a shift in the way that you see yourself, right? Because you're the one who brought yourself here. And I'm not saying that you're the one who brought in the trauma. It's just that you're the one who processed it in a certain way and, created the pattern that you're in, right? This is taking responsibility here. And so, someone says, I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? It's a new thought, right? So that I could feel safe. Whoa. Or for me, I had one about not being smart enough. And so growing and I felt like learning in school had always been, I was a good student, but it was such a drag. And I found it so boring and tedious. And I thought it only could be tedious. And I was in a position in life, in my work, to learn a lot. And I just felt like it was so tedious and I couldn't get with it. And I was just falling behind and feeling more and more like I wasn't smart enough and everyone knew, and fraudulent in all my patterns. And so then I thought about well, what if I already have a lot of inherent intelligence? Right? What if I'm full of intelligence? And then what if learning could actually be a joy? So those for me were two growing edges, because I hadn't really acknowledged my multiple intelligences, because I'd been busy telling myself I wasn't smart enough. And I hadn't tried on the idea that things could be joyful, right? I had always just assumed they had to be a certain way. So growing edge is a shift in your perception about yourself. Good. Yes, some beautiful ones. And then how do you make that sustainable to go beyond a seed? Yes. And because it's easy to just say those things to yourself and see no real change or feel no real change. Well, that's our last step, beloved. So our last step tonight, just for this piece here, is growth. And this is where we're going to work with a seed thought and a seed image. You can call it an affirmation. Some people, I feel don't like that word, because they think that they've been taught, and I understand where they've been taught this, that an affirmation is just affirming yourself, being like, I'm a millionaire. And that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is that you have the way that you retrain your brain is by training it, right? Is by this seed thought, right? This little growing edge, right? Oh my God, I could, that I could, learning could be, I have multiple intelligences and learning could be a joy. The affirmation is not I'm the most brilliant person in the world, right? That's over the top, right? That's over the edge. That's not on that growing edge anymore, right? It's just going to feel like bullshit. So we got to find that edge, and you have to affirm yourself, meaning you have to talk nice to yourself, right? Which most of us don't do. Who here feels like they're way better at saying mean things to themselves versus nice things to themselves? Who here? Anyone? Is everyone here just so nice to themselves all the time? Yeah, no hyperbolizing. Yeah, okay, yep. Everyone's mean to themselves. I know, me too, for the longest time. I'm actually not mean to myself anymore. It has taken 12 years, and I'm not. Every once in a while, I get a little mad at myself for something, but it's so minimal. When it used to be my whole operating system was self-deprecation. Ugh. It takes a lot of your life force. When you stop doing it, you have so much more energy available for your life. So I want you to work. We're going to you're going to get it for homework, but we can try it out here. So an affirmation is a new thought, and you have to work with it every day. So it's not like we just say it once and you forget it. You have to work with it every day. This is how the brain works, okay? And most of us then start to get in our own ways again because we're like, well, this isn't gonna work. I don't have time to be nice to myself. I don't have time to say this thing to myself in the morning or throughout the day, this one little sentence. I'm so busy. Or I don't know, I'm not really feeling like it today and I didn't do it yesterday, so I might as well give up, right? Like these are the ways we get in the way. This is the way we talk ourselves out of growth. I know all the tricks because I've done them. Okay, so an affirmation is written down, so you're going to write it down. It's an I statement. I'm sorry, you don't have a slide here for this, but just roll with me, y'all. You got it. It's an I statement. So it's like, I embrace. You're going to speak to your growing edge, and create a life of, maybe speak to your vision, right? That's just one little simple format that you can start with. You can definitely like branch out from there for sure. But the idea is that it could be like, I embrace being safe and create a life of, freedom and whatever it is, right? Like whatever it is that's in the vision there. So the affirmation, this is like for you and no one else, right? No one can write your affirmation for you. Sure, you can like read some affirmations that feel nice to you, but you just did the work to get to this place, giving your soul a voice, okay? So your affirmation, it's written down. It's an I statement. It's stated in the positive. So it's not like, I reject all the bad people in my life. No, stated in the positive. What do you embrace, right? You embrace positive relationships with yourself and others, as an example. Written down. I statement, stated in the positive, stated in the present, right? So this gets tricky for people because they're like, well, I don't know if I believe this now. It's okay. It's a little aspirational. You're stretching, remember? And, and so the stating it in the positive, in the present, if it feels too much to be like, I love myself, like that could be too much for you right now. It's cool. There's no point in going beyond where you are. Instead, what you can try on is, I believe it's possible to love myself, as an example. That might not be the most poetic thing you want to say, but we don't have to get super poetic. We want it to also be, unless you want to, you can do whatever you want. This is your affirmation, not mine. We also want it to be succinct and specific, right? So it's not like a whole paragraph. Now, if you write a whole paragraph, cool, go back in and you're going to like circle maybe the most key points, and that's going to be the basis for your affirmation. My first one, and yes, you can always step up the affirmation. Here's the thing is that like what's on your growing edge right now might be like believing it's possible to love yourself, as an example, right? And then at some point you're going to notice that like maybe that doesn't feel as like juicy, right? And that's okay. That just means that you're that just means that maybe you've hit that growing edge, that you do believe it's possible. And then maybe it's time to like say the thing that felt really fucking scary before. Okay. So my first one was based on I'm not smart enough. I find joy, strength, and confidence in my voice and I find joy, strength, and confidence in my voice and in the contributions I have to make in the world. I embrace each challenge with as an opportunity, and I do it with grace and intelligence. That was my first ever. So it was like a little long and wordy, but whatever. That's what I needed. And I said it to myself so many times. And one day I totally forgot it. And I had to go back and look it up. And I read it. And I was like, this is it? Because I believed it. It was no longer, when I first wrote it, it seemed so far off that I almost threw up every time I said it. Okay? And then I believed it. And now I totally believe it. I believe my life can still be worthwhile and enjoyable, whether or not I'm in a romantic relationship. Okay, I think that's a good start. Anon 2757. I'm wondering if that whether or not I'm in a romantic relationship, like, is maybe a little bit of like what with these guidelines we might call negative, right? So I'm wondering if there's a different way for you to say that part. The like, I believe my life can still be, because like the still be worthwhile and enjoyable. Well, how does it feel to you when you say it? Like, does it fucking turn you on? Because your affirmation, you want to, when you say it, all of you, I want you to be like, whoo, that's really something. Okay. Like that's the feeling, right? So try reworking it right now a little bit more in the positive. It can, yes, it can be specific. I see some questions here. But like, this isn't about anyone else. This is just about you. Okay. It's not super turning you on. Great. So that's how you know. This is how your emotional center, right? So just a note about emotions here. Sometimes we ask for signs, maybe signs from the universe, signs from God, whatever. Like your emotions are your signs. They're your internal GPS. So you can feel like you say it and you're like, yeah, that's your emotions letting you know it's not aligned with the truth of who you really are, right? That little bit of constriction is actually letting you know there's a little ego in the way, right? So like rework it, right? Like feel into that expansive so that when you say it, you can feel like, whew, that's really something, because that's your body. That's your emotional body letting you know that emotional body and physical body working together for you, letting you know that it's aligned. Okay? I am enough. Like a single lady, just me, doesn't feel specific enough. Okay. So, what if you do I'm enough and I create a life of, just as a starting point, right? So you're acknowledging that enoughness and then like speaking to the vision, right? You all, the vision has to be compelling because we're trying to break a pattern that is so ingrained that you don't even know how many times a day, hundreds probably, or at least 100 times a day, that it's working on you, that it's cranking, right? So like it's so ingrained. So the vision has to be compelling. And so I really want you to speak to it in the affirmation. Let's see. I embrace loving and healthy relationships to create peace and joy in my life. Belen, how does that feel? Let's see. Anon 2345 says, I can fully inhabit and enjoy this adult body. Ooh, how does that feel? Yes. Let's see. I embrace my intelligence and skillful talent with trust and courage to create a life of freedom and peace filled with creativity, love, and happiness. Well, Anon 4948, wondering if it's a little too long. How does it feel when you say it out loud? Like, feel it in your mouth, feel it in your body. Does it feel too wordy, or does it like turn you on and you're like, oh yeah, all that? Good, we're gonna keep going here. So the last part, so that's your seed thought. You're gonna work on it. And I invite all of you to email me if you want. You're totally welcome to, I'm telling you right now, and email me your affirmation. And I'm gonna ask you, how does it make you feel? Okay? But if you wanna be witnessed in it, you can email me, dana@danabalicki.com. You can reply to any of the emails that you are getting from me and send your affirmation and let me know what you think. The last part here is the visualization. So we need these two things together, an image and as a seed image, a visualization, and a seed thought as an affirmation. They go together, what David and Gail call the germination process, right? So the visualization is what we drop down into our psyche, into our unconscious mind. Our affirmation is what we use to train our brain up here, like our mind consciousness versus our store consciousness, which is where the image goes to work. The image can be literal or metaphorical, has to have you in it. So, it's the idea is that you see the image in your mind's eye and makes you feel the feelings of that affirmation. Okay, so you could be like, you see yourself, I'm standing on a mountaintop with the sun shining on me. And that somehow really like encapsulates what your affirmation of the thing that you are affirming right now, right? This growing edge and this vision. Or you could be like, I am the mountain and the sun is shining on me, right? Literal metaphorical, either way, right? So I'm going to give that to you for homework. So I want to make a little, the last piece here, and this comes from my beautiful teacher, Raw Goddess, where she always talks about the last piece of this process as being celebrate. Right? So everyone just take a moment. Like, I want you to honor yourself, like love up on you, like, good job. You did this. This work that we just did, this little bit here for the hour is like not that easy, right? So just really honor yourself. You have done beautiful work tonight. And so just to recap, what you have learned today is how to understand your mind and the unconscious patterns that you've been creating since childhood, how to change your mind and align with the truth of who you really are, and why you don't necessarily need all the external stuff to be happy or successful or fulfilled or living purposefully, but you need the internal stuff, right? Like, this is where the magic happens, baby, is on the inside, right? And you're here today because you want to live this life unapologetically, right? Like, you want to be aligned with the truth of who you really are. And, you want to be able to like make big decisions and to trust yourself, right? That you're making the right decisions for you, right? And like, now is your time. You can do this. If there's anything I hope that you're taking away from this work today, is that like, you can do this, right? Like, with some guidance and with some like really structured tools and practical magic frameworks, that you can make these changes. So your homework, I'm going to send it to you in an email. I'm patting over here, but because your homework, you are your home. So, you got to do the work for your home, your beautiful home, is how to work with these every single day. But just as a quick one, you're going to look at yourself in the eyes every morning, and you're going to say this affirmation to yourself. And then you're going to close your eyes and you're going to see the visualization, see the image that you're creating. You're consciously create that image one time, one image. You're not recreating it every day. You're not changing your affirmation every day. You're sticking with it and you're training yourself. You're training your mind. You're training your mental body that got programmed with some toxic stuff when you were a child because other people projected on you. It happens. It's how life goes, right? So nothing I've shared with you today is like theory or just like ideas, right? They're all things that I use, that I have used, that my clients and my students, some of them here tonight with us, have done to change our lives. And so, I don't really have any I don't want to say I don't have special skills, but I don't have necessarily any secret tools or expensive resources. Really, I just invested in myself and my own growth. And because of that, I have a framework and I have these tools. And if I can do this, I promise you can do this. There's nothing about me that makes me special to be able to do this work that other people can't. Okay. And so someone says, 2757 says, this is brilliant magic. Yes. I feel all the stuff and beliefs in my second chakra. Oh, I embrace myself completely. My visual me is a wonder woman. Oh gosh, I won't get out of my head. Oh, so beautiful. And so I want to invite you all just, you'll get an email a little bit from me tonight, where I'm inviting you in to do some deeper work. So if this turned you on and you're like, yes, and I want to keep going, I have a program that is called Clear. And it's a healing journey, a 3-month healing journey to making your biggest life decisions with courage, confidence, and clarity, to making these biggest shifts of your life, right? With courage, with confidence, with clarity, with vulnerability, with all of these things. So you can see, even if you just where you're watching me wave my hands around right now, if you scroll down, you can see and read all about the program. For the next few days, 3.5 days, there's a special early bird price. But before I talk to you about that, this is a 3-month program. So it's part digital, online, where you get audios. And they're so in-depth and so beautiful. I really created something so special here. I've been running this program for a year, and some of my students who are here tonight have had such beautiful shifts in their lives that they've created as a result of doing this work. So it's part online and digital, and you get the audios and you get slides, right? You actually get slides from me, not like tonight. And you get daily meditations and journaling prompts. And then it's also also live. So every 2 weeks, I go live for an office hour Q&A, and you can just jump in like tonight, and except we're on Zoom so I can see your face, and you can ask me questions and I'm right there with you. And so like, I know so many of my students who show up regularly, I know all of their stuff so intimately. Like I know the journeys that they've, like the paths that they've walked. It's a very intimate program, though it is like technically like an online program. And 3 months just means like you get midwifed through 3 months of emails, but what you actually get is forever access. And I'm not gonna, after like, the next 2 weeks when the doors to it closes, I'm not gonna offer forever access to it, which means that as long as the program is up and running, you get to have access to it forever, right? So you can come back in a year from now and still like join in on my, my biweekly lives, and you can still be part of the, access all the online stuff, right? All the audios, all the meditations, all the trainings, all the bonuses, everything new that I offer, right? You can scroll down and you can look at the modules, right? We do a whole month of slowing the F down and learning how to trust and love yourself again, a whole month on mindset, a whole month on emotions. But that's just what you get the guidance for, and you can take your time. You can go at it at your own pace. You can take as much time as you want because you have forever access, though there is a fair amount of accountability and ushering you through the work, right? So it's not meant to just be willy-nilly. And you can go down and you can read the beautiful testimonials from my clients and students, right? About giving them, Kara says, I'm finally giving myself permission to really shape my own path. Let's see, I feel so much more confident in being able to trust myself now. And as I move forward, I mean, you can read all about it. They're beautiful statements here. All the details, frequently asked questions, how it all works. And my early bird price is 3 payments of $222. So $222. I work with magical numbers. That's 3 monthly payments. So over 3 months for a forever program. It's a pretty good deal. And there's also, besides the full digital course and the biweekly live Q&A with me, intimate time with me, and all my bonuses, you can also, there's an option to add 2 private coaching sessions, 2 60-minute sessions with me for a price that's less than the cost of 1 session if you were not part of this program. So I just want to know if anyone, I got to scroll back up here, if anyone has any questions, and it can be about the beautiful work. Oh, I see some more affirmations here. I embrace the divine into every cell of my body. I glow with love. That's beautiful. I don't know who Anon2345 is, but it says, thank you, Dana, having experienced having you as a coach. It is special and transformational. I'm not sure who that was, but thank you. Oh, someone asked, yes, a question is, how do you no longer experience embarrassment? I mentioned it earlier. I really just made a decision about it, that I didn't want to be embarrassed anymore, and that I felt like it was a real waste of my energy. I realized that this was many years ago in my sort of bigger drinking days, that pretty much for me, most of a hangover was feeling embarrassment or shame or guilt. And that if I just decided that I had a good time the night before and didn't shame myself about it, then I actually, my hangovers went away. And so I just made a decision like, that was great. Like, I don't want to shame myself for anything. So I think it goes along with all of the work that I've been doing, and what I can definitely teach others how to do, and share the tools to be able to do it. But it was a conscious decision, and I know how to make those decisions now for myself, and to notice where my energy is leaking out all over the place and choose something different. Yeah, does anyone else have any questions for me? Any questions about the work that we just did? Anyone have an affirmation they want to bounce off me in our last couple minutes here? Any questions about the program? I mean, in terms, you can read all the FAQs below. I do offer a guarantee, like a 30 days. So you can try the program out for 30 days. If you don't love it and you've really done the homework, because I'll ask for a little bit of homework, and you don't love it, I'll give you your money back. It's all good. I don't need anyone's money who's not happy with the work that we're doing, or, doesn't feel like it's the right work for them, after we have a little conversation about it, just to check, because accountability, that's my deal. And so you can read any of these FAQs, about going with your own pace, how long you have access to the course, forever. There's also a group private Facebook group. I'll probably move it off of Facebook soon. But there's a beautiful community there, small, we're still intimate, which I love. There's a lot that, like, you don't have to be on Facebook at all, but if you want to use that as a resource, it's there for you. And, sometimes it comes up for people like, I want you to consider how you're getting in your own way about making decisions to support yourself. So you showed up for this free training, which is awesome. And, beyond a free training, are you feeling a call to invest in yourself, right? To invest in your own growth? And are you getting in your way of that, right? So you get to use the process that we just did tonight together to look at how you're getting in your own way of committing to yourself. It happens. And if there's another question that you have, you can just hit the little chat button in the bottom right of the page if you're looking at this later, and it'll send a note to me. Yeah, let's see. Question about clear. How is it that different than doing coaching work with you, or would that be the same? That's a great question. So it's one-on-one coaching with me. I do have a one-on-one practice, and I have a 6-month program. I would say the biggest parts of that are the one-on-one is obviously way more intimate because I'm all up in your business. But it's structured a little differently in that, like, I'm giving you, you have homework, there's process to it. But I wouldn't say it's as visual as the Clear program, right? So it's not like, okay, here's the month we're going through mindset, and then here are the slides, and here's the thing. So for some people that works a lot better. And the Clear program is a little bit more self-study. So it's just a little different. I would say the price point is quite different, that the Clear course is a fraction of what working one-on-one with me is. So I would say that those are two of the biggest. And then plus working one-on-one with me is 6 months. I'm in your corner forever, but working through the program, you actually have access to me as long as the program is up, and I have no plans on taking it down anytime soon. So it's a pretty good bang for your buck. Let's see. Oh, you're so welcome, everyone. Let's see. Anon877 says, I notice my reluctance when being asked to commit to anything. Words gravel in my throat as I write. I want you to look into that. 8707, sorry, I don't know your name. I want you to look into it, do a little digging. You are probably going to have resistance around the reluctance because this is how it works. But I want you to look into for yourself, like, why? What comes up for you when you think about this is commitment, right? And I absolutely work with folks in the program around commitment, and like, what are you committed to? So just ask yourself this question, like, what are you committed to when you are reluctant to commit to anything for yourself? So what are you actually committing to? Does that make sense? Does that question make sense if you're still here? Any other questions? I didn't see any others. Good, that does make sense. Okay, good. Yeah, so it's like, some of us feel like, ooh, I'm bad at commitment. No, none of us are bad at commitment. It's just a matter of what we're committed to. So sometimes you might be committed to whatever that limiting belief was for you. I don't know what yours was. Feel free to share it. But take a look at that. Like, is that actually what you've been committed to? And is that what gets in the way of you taking a next step in supporting your growth, of loving up on yourself, getting to know yourself better? I don't know. that, that's for you to look into. So the candle that I lit at the very beginning just burned out. So I think that's letting us know that we are done. It was a brand new candle, by the way. And I set an intention for our time together tonight. So thank you so much. I know we went over time, technical stuff, and then plus I get real into this work. I could do it all day. I love you all. Thank you so much for making the time for yourself tonight. Do a little, or today, or wherever you are, whatever time it is. I'm so honored to have supported you all in this way. Let me know if you have any questions about the program. The early bird is up through 8/8 Lionsgate midnight this Thursday, and then the doors are open through the 13th. So you've got a couple more days. You'll get some emails from me. It's my honor to support you. Like, look at whatever's coming up for you in resistance to committing to yourself, and work with your affirmation and your visualization daily, 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 and let me know how it goes. Okay, beloveds, thank you so much. Have a great evening.